I'm Dr. Scout, and welcome to your weekly LGBT health and wellness newscast from LGBT Health Link. Let's get right to it and find out what the top stories are for the week of December 19th, 2014. In our first story this week, do we know enough about HPV? There's a new systematic review out finding that gay men and bisexual men have misconceptions and limited knowledge about HPV and its role in cancer. Only 39% were aware that an HPV vaccine existed, which is a pity because most were willing to take it. Also, an Australian study of lesbians found that many didn't think they were at risk for HPV and therefore could forgo pap smears. Clearly, we all need a little more education. In our next story this week, LGBT Health Link was able to work with 5 different LGBT community centers and the Michigan Department of Health to create a wellness needs assessment for the state of Michigan. Preliminary results just came out, among other things, showing that we smoke at higher rates than others, and unfortunately our knowledge of or trust in cessation resources is so low that even among the smokers who wanted to quit, almost none of them even thought to call the state quit line. In our next story, don't we count in substance abuse research? There's a new systematic review of substance abuse research out, and they found that under 7% of the studies reported sexual orientation in 2012, while under 3% reported gender identity. Considering LGBT people have higher rates of substance abuse, couldn't this information really help us shape better programs if it was collected? In our next story, there's good news about PrEP. None of the 500 plus users of PrEP in San Francisco who obtained the prescription from Kaiser Permanente became HIV positive. While there is some decline in condom use, the study bodes well for PrEP as an HIV prevention method. And it's bad news for syphilis. Unfortunately, the number of syphilis infections have been steadily growing among gay and bi men in recent years. A new literature review of syphilis among gay and bi men suggests more screening is definitely needed. Now I see there's a bunch of stories out about trans health this week. First, kudos to an Edmonton news outlet for their story on trans discrimination in healthcare, and also to The Atlantic for their story on how some are questioning the ethics of requiring 2 mental health professional evaluations before genital surgery. Also, researchers found using VA data just found high rates of suicidality among trans veterans compared to others. But luckily, awareness is increasing. Morehouse School of Medicine and the AAMC are working on their first ever guidelines to train physicians not only in LGBT healthcare, but also for gender non-conforming people and those with differences of sexual development. Good job. In our last story this week, remember it's only open till February 15th. There are so many reasons to love the Affordable Care Act. There's a new Huffington Post blog out this week talking about all the reasons LGBTQ adults should sign up for ACA insurance coverage and why healthcare is so important for our communities. So be sure and catch it there. You can actually catch all of these stories at Huffington Post Gay Voices Wellness page in print form with hyperlinks, so be sure and check that out. And happy holidays to everybody. We'll be taking a break for a little bit and see you after the holidays in the new year with more LGBTQ health and wellness stories.